Sleep Story, The Magic Dimension. Fall asleep as you listen. A story about divine connection, courage, and self-love. Welcome, I'm Nikki Sutton. Subscribe for weekly guided meditations. Please refrain from listening while driving or doing anything else. Make sure you'll be undisturbed. Turn out the lights and lay down in a very comfortable position. Close your eyes and begin to relax down for sleep. This is just a story to listen to as you gently drift off to sleep. It is special though, because it contains themes to do with courage, self-love, and divine higher aspects of yourself having your back. Even though you're falling asleep as you listen, your subconscious mind still hears the positive themes contained within. My voice may become distant as you drift off to sleep, and that's perfectly okay. Just relax and let go. Here we go. Standing at the train station, on the platform, ready for a fun day out. You're experiencing a wonderful sense of well-being. Like all is very well with the world. The world is your oyster. So relaxed and free. Everything is falling into place. Everything is in perfect, divine order. A little unsure of your destination though, you're feeling divinely guided and ready for some new and wonderful experiences. The sun shines down on this ground level station. It's a beautiful day, and the sky is the bluest of blues, almost unreal in its depth and intensity. A pretty ordinary looking train arrives, along with a slight blustery breeze as it pulls into the station. All the people on the platform start piling into this train, but yours is the next one. The next train, you feel, is going somewhere far more interesting. Pretty much everyone who was waiting has boarded this train, and you stand back as it begins to pull away. Full of people now. You can see their faces through the shiny windows of this modern train. It's gleaming in the sunlight. A kind of electrical sound starts up as it moves away, and off it goes. It's only a few moments until your train arrives. As you look around, you notice there's only a few people remaining at this station. A lady sitting on a metal bench, reading a book, and a man with a cap on, laughing and joking with a boy that could be his son. The vibe of this station is very pleasant, and it really is such a lovely day to go somewhere nice. It sounds like your train is coming. It's about to arrive. But wait a moment. This train sounds different to the last. Less of an electrical humming sound and more of a chuffing sound. It's far more clunky and heavy sounding than the last train. Here it is, and how strange indeed. It seems to be an old steam train, arriving right here in front of you. It has large wheels and a drive rod attached to them horizontally, going round and round. Puff, 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 it goes, under the power of steam. It's shaped like a large metal cylinder on wheels, pulling along old but perfectly maintained carriages, and the smoke billows out of the smokestack at the top. This magical-looking steam train lets out a little screech as it grinds to a halt, and pulling up level with you is one of the wooden-clad old carriages, shiny as if brand new. The steam engine itself is a magnificent royal blue. How on earth can an old steam train be here at this station? You look around at the other people still here on the station platform, and none of them have even turned to look at the steam train. It's like it's completely invisible to them. They haven't seen it or heard it pull in. They're simply carrying on with what they were doing. How odd is that? A train conductor steps out of this grand old train and opens the door of the carriage in front of you. He's dressed in a very smart, yet rather old-fashioned uniform. It must be time to climb aboard. It feels like a good idea to climb aboard, just an intuitive feeling you have. On you go, and step up into the wonderful locomotive, seemingly the only passenger. The conductor calls out, "All aboard," yet no one else seems aware of this train, let alone planning to board it. It somehow feels like this is a special train just for you. Taking a seat at one of the tables now on the train. The seats look very comfy, and it's also vintage feeling, yet has a certain magical glow about it. It's a wooden table in front of you, its varnish all reflective in the sunlight beaming in through the windows. This carriage smells of flowers, a little like the kind of scent ladies from the 1950s would wear. You shimmy yourself along to the window seat, and you're facing forwards in the direction of travel. Chuff, chuff, chuff. This old steam train is now leaving the station. Would you care for a drink? The steward asks, appearing from nowhere. And you go ahead and order your favourite drink from the cart. The steward places it onto the table atop a little soft paper coaster. How lovely this is. The scenery of the city goes by in the window. And just as you wonder about your destination, the smartly dressed steward mentions to you that we will arrive in just a few minutes. Where though, you ask? And the steward replies, you know, that place where everyone could go, but few realize they can. What's it called? you ask? Sacred Way. We'll be there shortly. Interesting. Sacred Way. Perhaps there's something sacred about it. The steward makes their way along the otherwise empty carriage, and you turn to observe the view out the window. The train chuffs and puffs its way along as the city fizzles out and the suburban areas come into view. You see a little play park with kids happily swinging on the swings, and their playful excitement resonates with you as you go on your pleasant adventure. Fewer homes go by now as this happy, jolly train enters the countryside. It looks like a carpet of green all over the land, broken up by clumps of trees. How relaxing it is to be carried along, gently rocking back and forth, observing glorious meadows of green grass and wild flowers. A little flock of birds flies over a hill and changes direction to land in a bushy tree. It must be the perfect spot to land and feast on some berries. How relaxed you feel, so calm and relaxed. And the colours of this place seem to be incredibly vivid, becoming even more so the further you go. The blue sky has a few clouds in it now, which seem to be made of the fluffiest cotton wool, and for some reason sparkly in the light. All the scenery outside seems to have a certain radiant glow and sparkle to it. What is this Sacred Way place you're going to, you wonder? When just then, the brakes are applied. Oh, we must be arriving. Pulling into a station now as the train slows right down. A sign moves into view outside, showing the name of the station. Sacred Way, it says. We're here. Although you're not too sure why you're here, it just feels like a good idea. You get up and leave the train, having finished your drink, of course, and the conductor kindly opens the door for you with a clunk click, and out you step onto the station platform. Now, it's not exactly a normal everyday station. There's a platform, yes, but rather than a building there, it's a wooden trellis archway with wonderful honeysuckle plants growing all over it. The scent is so refreshing and sweet. Wow, the energies of this place are fantastic. It's like being wrapped in a cozy, soft blanket of love and appreciation. The train conductor calls over to you. We'll be here when you get back. How odd that is that the conductor says the train will wait for me. Thank you, you call out. The whole journey has been nothing short of miraculous, but seeing as you're in the mindset of going with the flow, let's continue. As you head through the arch, the ground beneath your feet turns into a soft pathway, soft like a carpet, but simply earth beneath your feet and a little dust perhaps, and the path seems to lead into a garden. You carry on along this path, leaving the train station behind, and find yourself in the most beautiful garden you've ever seen. A rose garden. There are flower beds and lawns either side of the path, and the bushiest, greenest trees here and there. Again you observe this twinkly glow about everything, as if there's a touch of magic in the air. Perhaps there is. Your intuition is really firing up now, telling you that this is a magical place, a garden of dreams, of realizations, of something special to make you feel even more fantastic than you already are. There are rose bushes in bloom, in reds, creams, pinks, yellows, and even blue. And little soft rose petals float through the air as if carried by some undetectable breeze, because the air is warm and still. Feeling drawn to continue forward, you notice there's someone sitting on a bench up ahead. It's a woman in long flowing white robes. As you grow closer, she notices you and smiles so radiantly that you can feel her welcome wholeheartedly. It warms your heart to see someone who you don't even know welcome you so warmly. Yet there's something familiar about this lady. Approaching her, you see that she has silvery hair that's long and braided into 2 French braids from her forehead, over her head, and down into 2 braids either side of her neck, down to her waist. She has the most beautiful face, and her eyes tell you she is a wise woman, perhaps angelic in nature. "Welcome," she says. "My name is Muriel. I know you can't stay long, but I need to show you 3 things to help you on your path. I'm very, very old," she says. "I may not look it, but I've been here a long time, tending these roses." You introduce yourself, but she seems to have a look in her eyes as if she already knows you and has been waiting for you to visit. Muriel leads you a little further into the garden. What 3 things does she want to show me, you wonder? You notice how warm, safe, and cared for you feel in this place. How relaxed you feel as you take in your pleasant surroundings on this beautiful day. A few moments later, you reach a little circular area of pristinely kept grass surrounded by rose bushes. Upon the circle of grass is a friendly white goose. It has a long neck, orange legs, and webbed feet, and the most beautiful pristine feathers. The goose lets out a honk honk goose sound as if to say hello. Muriel explains that this goose has had many incarnations as many people, but now he's resting by taking a simple lifetime as a goose. In many of his lifetimes, he's been a wise teacher, helping many, many people understand the nature of the universe and how to live a happy, fulfilling life. Most of all, though, what he loves to teach is that you're always loved and cared for by your higher self, that you're protected by your higher self, who's always with you. He wants you to know this, and with that, the goose stretches out his snowy white wings and flaps them 3 times, and a feather detaches from one of his wings and floats over to you. Drifting so silently and delicately, as if time is standing still, you open your hands to take the feather, and it lands right across your palms. Take this feather with you, says Muriel, to remind you that whenever you see a white feather, your higher self is watching over you and protecting you. How wonderful this is. Thanking the goose very much, you run the feather through your fingers and feel how soft it is. And you know that you're divinely guided by your higher self. And you carefully pop the feather into your pocket. Continuing on through the garden, along the little pathways, between the hedgerows, and under lush apple trees, you reach a water well. Looking into the stone well, you sense a fresh, high vibe feeling rising up from below. There's a small V-shaped roof over the well, with a mechanism attached beneath it to wind up the rope, which descends down into the well. There must be a bucket attached to the rope at the bottom. Muriel begins to explain. The water here is blessed. It's programmed with the energies of courage and resilience. Drink it and you will become stronger than ever before. Physically stronger, you ask? Not really. What I mean, she goes on, is that you'll have courage enough to meet any challenge head on, strong enough to face your feelings, your fears, and any emotions of yours that need your compassion. You'll gain courage and resilience to thrive even more, as well as the strength to know when to say enough is enough. You'll receive mental and emotional strength in any way you need it. So what do I do, you ask? Wind up the rope to bring up the bucket, she says, and drink some of the fresh water. It will give you all the courage you'll ever need. You take hold of the handle and begin to wind up the rope. It comes up until you can reach it, and you bring it onto the stone wall of the well, about waist height in front of you. Cupping your hands, you scoop up some of the fresh water and have a drink. It's very high vibe water and absolutely refreshing. An interesting feeling comes over you, as if you're standing taller already. There, Muriel says, you have all the courage you need, and it feels like you do. So carrying on along the path, in the garden now. You know you're on your way to the third thing that you'll be shown today. As you go, you start to wonder if this is some kind of dream, and if you're asleep. Perhaps it doesn't matter, because it's still a magical experience, and it feels very real indeed. It's probably the most mystical and magical day ever. The sun creates distinct rays of light through the trees as it starts to sit lower in the sky. Soon it'll be time to head back to the station, but Muriel has one more fascinating anomaly to show you. No doubt another important symbol of empowerment and personal development. The scent of the roses wafts through the air. There must be literally hundreds of rose bushes in the garden. Heading through a gap in the hedgerow now, you come to an old oak tree, standing on yet another beautifully kept lawn. This one with tiny daisies dotted around all over it. This is obviously a very old oak tree, and there's a sense of wisdom emanating from it. It's as if it's psychically reaching out to you, welcoming you forward. It has a thick trunk with dark-colored bark and roots that begin above ground, splaying out in all directions before disappearing beneath the earth altogether. A well-grounded being indeed, this tree. And wait a minute, how funny. It seems to be holding something. Its branches have grown around something reflective. It seems to be a mirror. Now you can see most clearly as you arrive at the tree, stepping towards it. Several branches have grown in such a way to be clutching onto a mirror. About head height, the most beautiful mirror with an ornate frame rests in the tree, its branches holding it so carefully. Then Muriel speaks to you again. Before you look in the mirror, I want you to think about how you usually feel when you observe your reflection. She goes on. You probably feel a certain way when you look at yourself in the mirror, perhaps critical sometimes, maybe a tinge of guilt, regret, unworthiness, frustration, or perhaps not. But however you feel when you look in a mirror, in any mirror, you could always do with more self-love. When you gaze into this mirror, this magical mirror, it will help you to feel the love and appreciation for yourself that you deserve to have. Go ahead and look, she said. You find yourself recalling how you feel when you usually look in a mirror, when you see your reflection. And perhaps, yes, more self-love would be beneficial. So let's give this a go. So you step right up to the mirror and gaze into it. Yes, indeed, you see yourself, but not in any usual way. You see yourself in a new light, like you really accept and appreciate the person you see. And a warm feeling comes over you, and you know what? You love the person you see in the mirror. You understand the trials and tribulations you've been through, and you have gratitude and love, pure and simple, for the person you see in this magical mirror for yourself. Muriel is smiling, and you are smiling. What an amazing day. You both start heading back through the garden towards the train station, away from the wise old oak tree, through the bushes and past the many roses. And as you go, you wonder how Muriel is able to keep this garden so beautifully, all on her own. And without saying a word, she says, "When there is no time, you have plenty of time for gardening." She must have read your thoughts. And how odd. Perhaps time doesn't even exist in this place. Perhaps it's another dimension or something. That's why she has so much time. Past the well you go, through the trees, and in the distance you see the goose plucking blades of grass from around the edges of the lawns and swallowing them down. You turn to ask Muriel, "Is this a dream? Am I sleeping?" "What do you think?" she replies. "I'm not sure," you say. Under the archway of honeysuckles now, and back to the station platform, Muriel waves you goodbye and heads into the garden once more. "I hope you believe in yourself," she calls back. And she is gone so quickly. "Goodbye," you call out. But the train is right there waiting, and the conductor shouts, "All aboard." It's time to get on the train. Over the platform you go, and in you climb. Just like before, you sit down on the beautifully upholstered seats in this vintage old train. The whistle sounds, and puff, 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 the train pulls away from the station in quite a laboured fashion at first, gaining momentum in every moment. Relaxing back now, you close your eyes and begin to feel yourself drifting. The scenery in the window goes by, countryside soon turning into town as you blink your eyes, blinking them 1, 2, 3 times. And now there's an awareness of other people around you on the train. People sat here and there. And what's this? You're on a modern train, and it sounds different, like electrical humming rather than chuff-chuffing. But how confusing. Where am I? You recognize you're heading home. But this train is different from before. You're riding on a normal modern train. Did you dream it all? You reach into your pocket and pull out a white, silken, soft feather, definitely that of a goose, and a warm, fuzzy feeling comes over you. And you remember that the feather symbolizes that your higher self is always watching over you, and that you drank from the well of courage and found your self-love in the wise oak tree's mirror. And you realize you did visit Sacred Way today. You were in the garden, and it wasn't a dream, because you visited that place where you can really feel good about yourself, where not so many people realize they can go.